Good morning, Paleo Keepers. Today we're on Prehistoric Kingdom and I'm going to be making an enclosure for the Acrocathosaurus. The idea behind it is to make it slightly modern and kind of mix it with that sort of desert safari kind of feel with it. And the way I'm going to do this is make the building look pretty modern on the outside and try and keep it very minimalistic without adding too much scenery, as well as the inside for the viewing area for the guests. I want that pretty plain. It's literally just an area to walk in, bit of information rather than having all like the dining room and whatnot. So when I put this on the workshop, anyone that wants to use it can try and get it to fit in better with the theme of their park, or just add anything crazy that they really want to, if they want to have it from the workshop. But yeah, so as you can see in the background right now, I am making that building and I'm keeping it very modern, very sleek, trying to make it so it's not too different. Like, it kind of has to slightly fit in with that desert feel. So I'm going to be using some of the arid kind of like building structures, especially giving it that sort of like base bottom there. And then I found these wood planks and I felt like it just added that nice little modern touch and still makes it mix in. On the enclosure side, I left it this sort of plain. It doesn't really need to be decorated because customers aren't seeing that from close. And then as you see here, I'm now making the fencing for that enclosure. I wanted it kind of simple. I didn't want it to be too much, and obviously in my head this is strong wood and the Acrocathosaurus won't break through it. But it does kind of, my feel for it was prehistoric park, and the fencing that was seen in that show, where it was literally just made out of wooden logs, it has like a really nice like aesthetic to it, and also it makes it really easy for me to do curves and things like that. As you can see, I put it on like a 5% sort of turn, so I could just easily just adjust it every now and then, and it makes this lovely like curved effect, which I really like the look of. And it was pretty simple and easy to do. Also, it takes quite a while, and then I got to this point and I was like, okay, I'm going to make an extra viewing point into the enclosure. This is going to be the food area of the enclosure, and then I'll make another, well, I'll just copy and paste it. I won't make another one because I want it to be the same. And what I'm going to do is have the other one as the water station, so customers can see it when it goes and eats and goes and drinks, which is for a lot of people the more interesting part of like a zoo, is having those feeding times. Obviously they do like shows and whatnot, but in this case it's just a case of food gets plonked out and you get a better look, and obviously that's what a lot of people like seeing. I don't know what was happening here when I was placing these, but I was really struggling to keep them straight. Like when I was playing the game at this point, for some reason I couldn't, like, it kept putting things at angles rather than like in straight lines when I was trying to straighten them up, so I had to mess around a fair bit. But you see, I keep this really plain and simple. Again, for the same aspect, I want it to fit in. I want it to be nice, simple and easy. So especially if someone wants to use this in workshop, they can add their own features and they're not having to like delete tons of like items around it. And as well, it just looks, it's just nice and simplistic. Like some enclosures you go to, they are either heavily themed, but then there's a lot of zoos you go to where things are pretty simple, where the budget's either low or they don't want all this cluster. Because as cool as having like really nice surfaces, themed decoration and things like that, that is more stuff to get broken by the general public. I mean, most people do treat things with respect, but then there is a lot of people that are either clumsy or unfortunately just don't care, and that's when things get broken, you have to replace them, and that's when things get expensive. So the simpler you actually keep things, the less things are going to get broken, the less things need replacing. So that's why, again, a lot of places like that, it's either down to budget or it's down to the fact that they don't want things to get broken. But it's cool when you do go to these places which are heavily sort of like themed and got loads of decorations. But like I was saying, also it just leaves it out then if when someone adds it to the like workshop and they want to have it fit in better with their zoo, with their theming, they don't have to change too much. It's quite easy to click on the actual individual things and change the patterning and whatnot, and then add their own decorations afterwards. As you can see here, I'm making the prep room for the keepers. It has this tunnel which I've got themed in with this like rocky cave to try and hide it in a little bit better. It adds to the theming, and it's just like a cool general like area for the keepers to come in and out of, and it's big enough to fit like a vehicle through it as well. So then if they have a trailer car to pick up the, what I'm going to guess would be quite big excrements from the Acrocathosaurus, they've got that sort of space to go through. Also make a door for the well, sliding door kind of thing for where the truck could go through and then go down the tunnel. And it's just like a really nice simple build. I didn't go too much into detail because obviously you aren't going to see that unless you physically go in yourself. Some people do like that stuff where they completely edit it, where on the inside, even though you can't see it, I only really edit it if like you can sort of see it from the outside from glass windows and things like that. But if I haven't done that kind of theme to it, then I do kind of keep it a bit plain. So I use a bit of the brush, like the desert brush, to thicken it up, and then I add my own plants, sort of mixture what I feel like looks quite nice in this sort of like grassland desert area. Around the outside I've put sand, so then all the plants are in the middle. So in theory the Acrocantha has like a kind of area that I can go and like hide in. It's got something interesting. I'll be using the green Acrocanthosaurus to this enclosure, so it does add quite well. So I started making a sign for it, and then I was like, it's not going to fit on there. I can make it smaller, but then it won't look as impactful. So I decided to do this sort of like billboard kind of like style. Again, keeping it nice and simple, keeping that sort of like modern day sort of advertisement sort of like vibe to it, rather than having way too much decoration. Does give it that sort of modern kind of feel to it. Thinking about it now, I could have probably put ladders and things like that on the building to get onto the roof, obviously for roof maintenance and things like that. But yeah, that's it. It's a really nice simple build. I've really enjoyed making this. I feel like it stands quite well for the Acrocanthosaurus. Like the general aesthetic of it is really enjoyable. Like I sat here watching the Acrocantha for quite a while, just doing its thing around the enclosure, the way it fits in with the enclosure. I love it when it's walking through the tree line in the middle there. Like it really has like a nice aesthetic, like almost like ambushy, because it's kind of camouflaged in with the green. If there was like prey items it could prey on in this enclosure, it would probably lurk in those bushes and then dart out using all its speed and force. And yeah, it's a really cool model. Like Prehistoric Kingdom devs made a really good Acrocanthosaurus. Its movement, like the way it looks, the patterning. This is definitely a model I really like enjoy of Acrocanthosaurus. Like there's other games with Acrocanthosaurus in that I do enjoy, but I feel like this has to be my favourite portrayal of it. And again, this is my Acrocanthosaurus build, and I hope you've enjoyed it and it's given you a little inspiration in your builds. And as always, till next time, I'll see you later.